Hello, and welcome to our mini intuitive workshop on grief and forgiveness. A gorgeous goddess in this group in our community had asked some questions, which I will read out, so we can set the stage. And I sometimes I can write answers, but at times I find talking's my thing. So writing's not. But with growing up with learning difficulties and a bit of ADHD, it can be challenging to express myself in general, but in especially putting things in writing. So I thought this was a great way to make a mini workshop out of it and put it into words, because I just get the feeling too, my intuition is telling me that this isn't the only this is on others' mind as well. And it's, I think, especially grief and forgiveness is something we've all experienced in one shape or form. So what I'll do first off is read out part of the question. I do need glasses, but because I have the anti-glare on it, it looks weird on my eyes, and I don't like that. So one question, I'll read both of them. I've got notes here to help me keep on track and make sure I've got the points that I want to get across, because I love what I do and I can get very sidetracked and just go on tangents and talk. We could be here for a very long time. So, and that's not what my goal is. It's to get it out as quickly and punchy as possible. So, your time is precious, so is mine. So, the first part about grief is, do you ever feel like grief is a huge part of life? As you age, it builds? So juicy. Is it love that is lost with no place to go? Sometimes I feel like I and so many women I know get caught in our giving nature and forget how to connect to spirit. I'm hoping this group helps remind me how to do that. That connection to the here and now and seeing the pure magic in everything. I just get so lost in doing that I forget about being. Okay, and the other one was, thank you, was forgiveness is a funny thing, and it so is. I discuss it with my boss quite often as she's Buddhist. I see this value in it, but struggle, and I kind of say the struggle is real. Like, I've put it out into other groups that I network and communicate in, and even from my own experience, the forgiveness is a huge struggle. And even in my, I've done nursing, naturopathy, herbalist, Western herbal medicine. I've done life coaching. I've got a diploma in that. I just don't call myself one. And I'm 4 subjects away from finishing my counselling subject, which I must get into studying back into it because it's just started. And forgiveness actually doesn't come up in a lot of all of this. We talk about certain things in a roundabout way, and with strategies and techniques and all that sort of stuff. But forgiveness isn't a huge one, which is really interesting. And I think it's something that it's one of those things that should be taught in school. Anyway, do you think sometimes it's about self-forgiveness too? Sometimes I think I'm angry with myself for letting whoever do whatever thing to me. Why was I so naive or stupid? Is that just the shadow stuff? Okay, so let's talk about grief first. So, grief is not just death. It is death. Grief is a death, but it's not just death in the physical, like when a person dies. That is a huge grief. That is a huge loss. But there's also, grief is about endings. So endings in, might be a job, a friendship, relationship. What else do I have? Even kids, like kids' milestones. Like, even though I know my last baby was my last baby, and I was excited to reach those milestones. And as kids get older, Dave and I get more of our independence back. We get more of us back and our time, more of our home back. But there was a bit of sadness and a bit of grief that was my last baby. That's, those last breastfeedings, last cuddles or baby cuddles of my baby and all that sort of stuff. So there was that, bit of seesaw of happiness and ending and that grieving, and it can be just, even when our fur babies die, that's really sad. Like, we had to put down one of our fur babies last year, and it's there's still grief there, and sadness, and we miss her, and she gets talked about quite often here. So grief is, there's so much aspect to it, and we're in such a society, especially here in the Western society, that it's such a taboo subject. I don't know why, because it's something that we're all going to die. We all experience it in one shape or form. So it's kind of like, the big fat pink elephant in the middle of the room nobody's talking about, but it's there. Like, you can't get rid of it. It's there. So um grief is a part of it. It's cycles. We have so many cycles. We have Mother Earth cycles, right? We have the seasons, the summer, what is it, summer, autumn, winter, spring, right? So, you look at, say, for trees and plants, that in autumn, a lot of trees die off, we get our leaves falling and all that kind of stuff. And then in winter, some of our trees and our plants, we have nothing. They're bare, they're barren. But come spring, they re-sprout. We got new beginnings, we got growth. And then summer, when it hits its peak, then autumn we harvest, and things are falling and things die off, and they have that rest rejuvenation period as well, and then start up again. We need that cycle, right? So Mother Earth has that cycle, so it keeps replenishing, it keeps harvesting food for us and all that kind of stuff. It just can't continually be one season or anything like that. So even Mother Earth, we live in that cycle, with that birth, death, rebirth cycle in the world around us, right? Doesn't matter what climate you live in and all that, there's still, like, I'm in subtropical, so the seasons are a little bit different. They're not as defined as, say, when I lived down in Victoria. Well, in Victoria you got 4 seasons in one day. I'm just going to pop on and make sure, because the comments don't always come up, so I'm going to flick through between, just make sure my phone's down. Okay, so sorry, not all the way the comments always come up. So so we go through those seasons as well. So grief is going to happen. Grief is a part of being human. And one thing I really like talking about, besides everything that I love talking about, is with counseling and that, like, we talk about good feelings, bad feelings, positive feelings, negative feelings. Now, I really want to talk and focus on the bad and the negative. No, so some of those feelings are, like, grief is a heavy, uncomfortable feeling. It's full of sadness. There can be anger there. There can be resentment there. There can be bitterness there. Now, all these feelings, I want to say, they're not bad or negative. They are just heavy feelings. They are part of being human. In one part or stage throughout our life, we are going to experience those heavy feelings, those uncomfortable feelings. I think they're more uncomfortable because we're not taught how to work through them, and that they are normal. It is a normal part of being human, right? It's nothing unexceptionable. I think it's not normal if you haven't experienced them, really. So they are normal. What the issue is, why I say I feel the good or the bad or the negative come in, is what you do with them. For example, if you're feeling angry and you're taking it out on someone, yelling and screaming, or physically being violent, or putting holes in walls and throwing things, or hurting animals, or hurting something to express that hurt, anger, and frustration or resentment, then that is negative, that is bad, that is not healthy at all, that is extremely unhealthy, right? So it's learning techniques to move through those feelings and emotions. Actually, one thing that was brought up with this goddess about it was, as we get older, does it seem to come up more? Okay, this is really juicy. So one thing I've learned and learning about is perimenopause. So I hit it in late 30s. I'm a bit of an early bloomer there, but I have endometriosis, I had adenomyosis, I had hysterectomy, I'm about to have more surgery, I'm about to have an ovary removed. Do you know what I mean? So, and the hot flushes and the forgetfulness and the tolerance for bullshit becomes non-existent. But also too, one thing I've noticed, and also been in many groups and hearing other women's stories and talking with other women, is that all that stuff that we've pushed down, when it comes to perimenopause, there is no tolerance, there is no more, it's hard to push it down. Everything comes to the surface. So when we go through this second change of life, like puberty, and then it's like going reversal in puberty, but I'm finding through my research that perimenopause is more intense than puberty, right? And then we normally find we've got teenagers while we're going through perimenopause, so it's just like, oh, why do things by halves, right? So it is, I have found that, yeah, come perimenopause is a great time. It is a fucking hard time, but it's a great time. A lot of healing, so a lot of grief is going to come up. If there is stuff that is unresolved, yes, it is going to come up. You can only stuff it down for so long. It's like a volcano. You can only have so much lava in it until it explodes. All right, so this is a time to start, working on it. So you can either proactively work on it, so whether it's doing some techniques or, and seeking professional assistance. There is nothing wrong with that. We need to normalize that more. There needs to be more access to things like counseling, psychologists, art therapies, talk therapies, whatever other therapies is needed, whether it's acupuncture, naturopathy. Like, we just need more therapeutic therapies out there, and make it more normal and more accessible, to be honest. But there are things that you can do on your own as well, and we're going to go talk through that as well. So, so stuff is, you are going to find things, especially when you hit that mid-age. What a beautiful time. How lucky are we that we get to experience this, but also too, where there's a part of a bit of a change, bit of a revolution happening, that, once upon a time periods weren't talked about. I remember my mum saying, and my mum was only 18 years older than me. She passed away 25 years ago, but that we didn't talk about periods, and it was dirty and disgusting. I mean, that's still there from the, thank you, patriarchal, the shadow masculine. But, and so now there is a big, huge movement, especially in the UK, and we are seeing it more and more, and it's talked more about perimenopause and menopause. There is a huge difference between the two. If you want to know more, let me know. I can do another video on that, because I'm happy to talk about it. But if you want to hear about it too, don't want to waste your time and my spoons. And so, there's stuff that comes up, so we need to be talking more, sharing more, because there are so many women suffering. And if you actually look at the suicide rate for women, it actually is within that perimenopause phase. Well, we've got flies at the minute. Do you know what? We've sprayed our house and got rid of them. There seems to be like a fly freaking get off my coffee pandemic around Queensland at the minute, with all the rain that we've been getting. Oh, that's watering. So what else? So yes, so grief is, so a lot of stuff coming up. There's also too, I think when we're going through this phase, or even if you're not in this phase and that, but when we're dealing with shadow things and grief and forgiveness and all that sort of stuff, one of the biggest things is, and I know you can do this, I have no doubts, right? I know, when I say I know, it's not that I'm a know-it-all, it's not, because the more I learn, the more I know I don't know. It's that I'm claircognizant and clairsentient, so it's that feeling of, I just know, it comes through, and it's just a knowing sense. Right, so that's my intuitive abilities coming through. That you are already a kind, compassionate, loving, and empathetic person. That when a loved one or a child comes to you and they're heartbroken, or they're upset, and they're needing someone to hold sacred space for them, or a shoulder to cry on, or to, that sacred space to let it all out. I know that you can do that, right? Like, if you are here, you can do that. I know that. It's just intuitively I do. Right, so what I'm going to ask is, what's needed, and it really is needed, that you need to now turn that on yourself. You've mothered and cared, whether you haven't had physical children, but you've mothered and cared a career, or parents, or family, or loved ones, or fur babies, or whatever it is. You are a carer and a nurturer. So it's time to turn that on you. Put the mirror up. Give yourself some of that loving, caring, nurturing. I know you can do this. I know this, right? So I know you can do this. This is about going. So when something comes up for you, rather than being that inner critic and beating yourself up and giving yourself a hard time, it's about going, okay, so if someone like such and such I love dearly, if they came to me with this, what would I say? And play it out in your head. I would say to them that, then that they are a good person, they are an amazing person, I love them, and, I would do blah, 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 right? And you go, okay, now I'm going to do that to myself. I love you. There's that Hawaiian Ho'opono saying, what is it? I love you, I forgive you, and I should have written it out. See, that's why I have notes, but I didn't write it out. So it's about turning it on yourself and really being kind and gentle and compassionate to yourself. So what have I got here? Grief is a massive part of life. We're not going to get out of it. So the more that we learn to be accepting of it and work through it, and this is the thing, we have these heavy emotions that come up. It's not about stuffing them down. That's when they all come up to the surface. That's things like we see road rage. It's got nothing to do with what's happened. It's about that someone's been stuffing things down so much that something happens and then they're caught off guard in a moment where they can't contain it and they let it fly, right? So it's generally, that's why you go with people with road rage, what the hell? So if you're experiencing road rage, it's a great sign that you've got a lot of stuff stuffed down and it's trying to come out. It needs to be expressed, it needs to be felt, but in a healthy manner. You know, like anger, either go for a walk or a run or talk to somebody you know that you can offload to, or speak to a professional. They're unemotionally attached to you. They set a sacred space for you and you can offload, and it's part of their job to deal with it. Right? And they do. They are trained to deal with it. Um, you can do burn letters, do journal writing. Journaling, I think, is a great therapy, a free therapy, right? I call it alchemy journaling because it's about turning wounds into wisdom, and through journaling, the process, things come up, things go through, and that's what's mean. Sometimes it might be screaming in a pillow, it might be putting on some music and really moving your body. Great way to move it, to move through stuff, is to move your body. You're literally physically moving that energy through your body. You might put your favorite song on and scream it out or dance it out or anything like that. Feel that emotion in a healthy way. That is how it's going to work. That's how it's going to move through. That is how you are going to lighten your energy. Okay. We talked about normal feeling. Also, too, we have cycles, and it is normal as humans. There's a saying, this, when things are shitty, we go, oh, this too shall pass. And that applies to when things are really good, when things are really amazing. This too shall pass. It is a cycle. It is that, it's like day and night. It doesn't matter how amazing the day is, night's going to come. It doesn't matter how amazing the night is, the day is still going to come. Do you know what I mean? This too shall pass. So you are going to, no matter what, have those ups and downs, if you want to call them, those light feelings, those heavy feelings. It is a cycle. It is going to. But how you move through them and how you cope and deal with them is up to you with what you do with them. If you get caught in them, especially those down moments, they can really drag and get depressing, and we can see where mental well-being can be challenged and all that kind of stuff as well. So it's recognizing them, being aware of them, having strategies and things in place to be able to move through them. Okay, if you have any questions or anything like that, if you need more explanation, please let me know. Actually, I'm having a human design mini chat reading tomorrow. I'm looking forward to that because I think I respond, I'm the type, can't remember what it's called, but I respond well to questions and things like that. So hence why this video, this mini little intuitive workshop has come along. So it's very awesome. So forgiveness. Forgiveness is about letting go. It's about surrendering. It's normally to help you more than the other person. It isn't about giving in, and it is definitely, I cannot tell you and express strongly enough, it is not about condoning certain energies, abuse, behavior, illegal activities, or anything like that. So I think the best way for me to express this is through my own story of, I was sexually abused by a family member. I'm in a different state, but it happened in Victoria, and I'm not sure on the laws and about mentioning names and things like that. But anyway, so they aren't here anymore. They admitted it and then took their own life. So yeah, but anyway, so back in my early 20s, before I knew a lot of all of this, and I read this technique in the books now, and I'm like, oh wow, this is something that I just downloaded and was guided by my guides at the time and followed. So it was back just over 20 years ago, and I knew from that sexual abuse that I didn't want it to affect me. I didn't want it to keep hurting me. I can't change it, but I didn't want that hurt, pain, anger, resentment turn me into a bitter old cranky woman, and it to ruin my life as a mum as well. Like have that horrible experiences, because it was more than once, to affect me as a parent and as my child, and not let my kids do anything. And like I am pretty cautious, like about sleepovers and where they go, and like I don't let my daughter get changed at people's houses. Like I've got, I probably do have peculiar things and all that sort of stuff from that, but that's my experience. But it is done in a love and protection way. But anyway, so what I did is I went into a meditation, and because this person had passed, and I would not confront this person if they were alive. I wouldn't want anything to do with them. Forgiveness is not about reconnecting or anything like that. It's about freedom. Freedom for you, freeing your heart, right? So I went into a meditation, I forgave them and definitely told them what I thought of them and definitely let everything how I expressed to them what I was feeling, what I felt, what they did, how they robbed me, took my innocence, my childhood, my teenage years. And, even now it still has some effect, even, I'm in my 40s. But I keep working through that. I'm very lucky to have Dave and talk with Dave, and we work through those layers. But I can talk about this and I'm not charged. I can get charged up when I hear other people go through it because, to hear that about other people going through it is very heartbreaking, that knowing that somebody's been violated in such a horrible way. But for me, I talk about and share my story in the hope that it helps other women. It's done as an inspiration, and that, you can, if you choose to, you can work through it, you can move through it, and you can heal it, and be in a better place with it. Doesn't mean you're okay with it and you don't condone it. Like, I would never condone that behavior like that. I think the laws and penalties are too lenient, to be honest. Um, so I did that forgiveness and let that go. But I did that for me because I didn't want that to turn that those horrible experiences. I didn't want them to overshadow my whole life. Because the thing is, when we don't heal stuff, we think, oh yeah, I've forgotten about that. Well, you have. So you think, but in your subconscious, where 90 odd percent of stuff goes on that we're not aware of, right, is playing out. Every decision, every choice you are making every single day, I'm getting goosebumps, right, is based on those experiences. If they are unhealed, if those wounds are unhealed, if those wounds have not been turned into wisdom, they are affecting you in a heavy way. They are those heavy emotions, those change, those cords are there playing out in your subconscious. You may not be aware of them, but they are there. And I can assure you that I know I've had conversations with women that have told me, they've gone, I don't need to heal that. I don't think about it, therefore it's not there. And I've known them and I've gone, right, that's a lot of horseshit, because I know A, B, C, D, how you work with your children, and you do this, this, and this. That stems from that. And they just go, oh, fuck. So, you know what? It does affect you. So, this is the whole point of forgiveness, is freeing your heart, right? So, for this, I've been working with the rose. I'm going to show you some. This is my journal. I pulled apart and make it because ADHD brain, I've got lots of different sections to go off on that. So, I've been working a lot with the rose. You can see the roses I've got there, and I've got roses around the house. Got a beautiful rose bush out back. So I've been working with the rose, and that's about softening and really embracing the light divine goddess. There's a light, we have a light goddess, and we have the dark goddess, and we have the shadow goddess within us. We have these aspects, and they all work beautifully one with together. They dance beautifully. So we learn from our shadow goddess aspect and to embrace our dark. When I say dark, I don't mean evil or devil. I mean our sensuality, our assertiveness, our protectiveness. But also there's an aspect where we can be light, intuitive, gentle, forgiving, and all that sort of stuff. So there are different aspects within us. So for this, I found the Celtic goddess Rhiannon has come to me to work with forgiveness. I've looked in the research, a lot of it, there is some aspects to there, and that is about her own journey and being set up with goddess Rhiannon. What happened was she married a man, a prince, a king, and had a baby, and they had nursemaids to look after him. Everyone fell asleep, and something evil had come and taken their baby. The nursemaids had woken up, and instead of being blamed for the disappearance of the baby, they killed a puppy dog and smeared blood all over goddess Rhiannon and said that she killed her baby. So she was exiled to the front of the kingdom, and every time someone came into the kingdom, she had to tell her story, and she had to carry them and that's why she's associated with horses and puppies, and carry them to wherever they were going in the kingdom, to the castle. Anyway, it came, then there was a couple on the outskirts in the village close by, and they noticed every time at this certain time of year their mare would go to have a baby, a foal, but it would always disappear. And well, anyway, this kept happening year after year after year, so for about 6-7 years or multiple years. And then the man ended up staying awake and caught the beast and killed the beast that was doing that. And then the mare turned into the goddess Rhiannon's son. I'm getting goosebumps. And so after a while, they kept him because they couldn't. The couple kept this baby. They didn't realize it was Goddess Rhiannon and the king and the queen's baby. And so but as he grew, they realized, they heard the stories and realized, oh my goodness, he had some abilities, some supernatural abilities, and looked like them. And so they took him to the kingdom. And Rhiannon, Goddess Rhiannon, and her husband were still, he was still going sneaking out and seeing her, and that they had a great deep love for each other. And so she was pardoned for it because she didn't kill him. But in that whole time, she never lashed out. She never accused the nursemaids or anything like that. So there was a lot of forgiveness of the harsh treatment she had, and forgiving. So and being accused of something that of a horrible, heinous crime that she didn't do. So anyway, so I don't really remember Goddess story, so it's quite interesting that I really remember that. Anyway, so that's real forgiveness. And so she came to me and she explained, and I've been the amethyst crystal, which I've always been drawn to, but she showed me a diagram, and she said what happens is, I'll show you the diagram. I drew it. I'm not. So this is your heart. Whoop, this is the heart, and those bands. So she said those bands, when we don't forgive, there's like cords wrapped around our heart. And so what happens is some cords are really thin, they can just be snapped. Some cords might need a bit of an axe or a knife or a chainsaw to break, because sometimes we have deeper resentment, deeper hurts, and deeper pains, deeper traumas, and all that sort of stuff. So but what happens is these cords just keep circling around our heart. And it makes you wonder, people that are perfectly healthy, textbook healthy, all of a sudden have heart attacks, and that it always makes me wonder, and just my theory, that how much forgiveness was there, and how many hurts and pains that resentment, hurt and pain that were unresolved. Just my theory. So so she said, and these cords are like brown, they reminded me of tree roots, and they sort of leached into the heart. So they really started, because depending on how many of these cords that we have, right, depends on how much it covers the light of our heart, that love and all that sort of stuff. And the way to break these cords is through forgiveness. So forgiveness is about forgiving you, setting your heart free, breaking those cords. So then, and those cords are heavy, right? They're really heavy. So by breaking those cords and doing cord carding ritual is one way to do that, is which is pretty amazing. I did one the other couple of weeks ago with some family, and wow, it was quite amazing. And they're both alive, and there's no way I'd reconnect with them. So this is not about reconnecting if you choose not to. All right, but it's about freeing your heart, and that's what it was for me, from some more child abuse from another step parent, another family member. Geez, our families are great at giving us these good friggin' lessons, aren't they? Our greatest teachers. Anyway, so it was about doing that. And do I have to do it more than once? Probably. There was a lot of stuff there. But I do want to talk about forgiveness in a way. It's got to be time heals, but I think time can sort of damper things a bit, if that makes sense. So there's some things, so those people, that one particular, another step parent that was quite abusive, and as I get older, the more I realize how abusive. I didn't realize how I grew up in such an abusive environment with her as well. I would not reconnect with her. I did try, it didn't work out, wouldn't do it again. But see, that's from childhood and teenage years. So that's a long couple of decades. So it's only now in my early 40s, I'm ready to forgive. I'm ready to let that go. I'm ready to free my heart from that. I'm ready to break those cords, those binds, those chains around my heart, because I don't need them anymore, because they're making me a cranky, bitter old person, right? But there's incidents at the minute with other family members that at the minute I'm not ready to forgive. It's too raw. It's still going on. It only happened, it's like last year. This year there's still stuff leaching in, and we know there's more coming due to the circumstances and all that sort of stuff. I'm aware of how it's making me feel. I'm aware that it's upsetting me and what it's doing to my well-being. I do want to forgive. Am I in a place to at the moment? Not quite yet. So need time with that. Do you know what I mean? Need time to process those emotions that are coming up, that anger that's coming up, that frustration, and like I said, that mama bear pissed off anger because you did something to one of my babies. How dare you? So it's taken me a while to come down from that, right? So I'm not ready to forgive yet, and that's perfectly okay. I don't need permission of anybody. But do I want to do that? Yes, I do, because I want to break those family cycles. Because when we have grandkids, hopefully down the track, as much as I can't wait, I don't want to repeat those cycles that they have repeated from the grandparents beforehand, the parents before that, because it has. Same shit, different era, right? So I do want to work on that, and I will do that. I know I will. But for the moment, I'm feeling into myself, I'm feeling into my intuition and into my heart, and I'm not quite yet there. There are still some emotions and feelings that need to be processed with that. So I hope that makes sense. So yes, and I'm being kind and compassionate to myself. I'm not beating myself up and going, oh, I need to forgive myself now, like I need to do this forgiveness now. No, I'm not ready yet. Okay, I'm going to give myself some time and space. Beautiful. You know what I mean? But if stuff comes up, I talk with Dave, I do my rituals. Some great ways is, do some burn letters. So writing them a letter going, how effing dare you do this, blah 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 blah, let it all out. That is a way of expressing that emotion, getting that emotion out. Did I safely burn that letter? There is no way I'm posting that letter. Don't worry, I did send a message and tell them what an evil person they were and how dare they manipulate and groom one of our children. But whatever. That's something I've got to live with. So but also too, you can write a letter of forgiveness. I forgive you. Blah blah blah, how I feel and all that sort of stuff. You may need to do it once or twice. You don't send these letters. This is about you. This is about breaking those chains, cracking your heart open, those binds and those cords and all. It's about cord breaking, cord cutting, right? It's about freeing your heart, to be able to love more. If you want to let love more in, well, those cords need to come off to make room for that love that you so deservingly, that unconditional love that you so deservingly desire, can have. It is there, right? But it makes it really hard when we've got all these cords and stuff just binding and just covering it all up, right? And this is part of being a human. There's nothing wrong with this, right? This is nothing. What's wrong with it is when we start treating other people like shit and doing harmful things to other people. And when I say criminal activity, like abuse, domestic violence, and all that kind of stuff, right? That's where it's wrong. Because we're not expressing it, we're projecting it, we're lashing out, right? That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about expressing it in a healthy way. Again, remember, some healthy ways to do that is, like I was saying before, move your body, whether it's dancing, running, walking, screaming in a pillow, burn letters, writing forgiveness letter, the Hawaiian Ho'opono, I can't say it, I'm sorry. It's my brain. Doing cord cutting rituals and spell work. And I'm not talking about hexing spells, because what you put out comes back to you, right? Again, what you focus on is what you grow, right? So again, if you're focusing on beating yourself up, well, that's going to grow and amplify. If you're focused on being kind and gentle, and I know this is a work in progress, but hey, baby steps, a lot of little baby steps. Sometimes we go backwards. That's okay. What did you learn from this? What did you gain from it? And I know this gorgeous goddess, she mentioned about, well, she was beating herself up on things that had happened in the past, right? So things like, oh, I wish I hadn't done that. I wish I had done this, or I wish I hadn't let them treat me like that. Oh, I wish I had said this. I'm sure we've all can relate to the, damn, why didn't I say that? That's a good thing. Damn, I had a good comeback for that. But we think about it afterwards. Okay, that is shadow work. But it's also part of grief, and it's also part of forgiveness as well. So it is shadow work. What you need, what you can do to help you, I'm not going to here to tell you. I'm a guide and a supporter, right? As part of being an intuitive priestess. I'm not here. I'm not a dictator or anything like that. So it's up to you, and different strokes for different folks. Take what works for you, leave what doesn't work, doesn't for you, and make it your own, right? Always follow your intuition, absolutely. I mean, the first rule of rules is there's always exceptions to the rules, but for us here, it's always follow your intuition first. That's the right intuition to follow, not mine. Mine is mine and yours is yours. right? So, all right, now I'm getting sidetracked. Okay, so what it is about when you can reflect and look back at something. If you can look back at a certain experience you had with someone, let's say you had a fight with a good friend and, you know, blah, 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 right? And you go, I wish I had said this and how did I let them manipulate me and all that. Doing that, you can't change the past. What you can change is in the present moment, and that is your perception. This is the alchemy of turning wounds into wisdom. It is about looking at it and going, okay, what did I learn from that? What did I gain from that? How does that make me a better person? What can I do next time? If you can turn around, I'm getting the gas bottle delivered. If you can turn around and say, oh, if this happened again with somebody, I would do this, and it's different to how it played out last time. Congratulations. You have learned. This is what we're here for. We are spiritual beings having a human experience. We are here to learn and grow. Unfortunately, it seems to be that we seem to learn a lot of things through those tough times, those challenges. Remember, cycle, ups and downs, you know, this is how we learn. And the sooner that we learn to work through those down times, those heavier times, the more we're going to move through them, and we're going to have more of those upper times. We're going to have those really good feelings. We're going to break those cords. We're going to feel those good love feelings because we're going to break those cords. Forgiveness is hard. I'm not saying it isn't. It is hard. It can be painful. It can be deep. It's messy. Spiritual growth and doing this work is messy. It's not all, oh, love and light and beautiful. Hell no. And who wants it to be, right? We're here to learn. We're here to grow. Who wants to come back and do these lessons again? Not me, for sure, right? So it is about learning, and we do. Unfortunately, it seems like the people that have hurt us the most are some of our biggest teachers. And forgiveness is fucking hard work. But you know what? It is the most empowering, powerful stuff. It is a powerful process, right? And the other thing I look at it as is with some of those people, and like I said, some of those recent ones, it's made me think about, oh, hang on, how long do I really want to hold on to this? You know, maybe I do want to work on this a bit quicker rather than let decades go by before I want to forgive and, you know, forgive the parts that I fucked up in and the bitchy parts and the not so nice parts I acted on, because it's not always them. It's not all them. It takes two to tango. And it's like, while you are holding on to that hurt, pain, resentment, and all that, and the trauma and all that kind of stuff, right? As again, there goes our ferocious dog. They are living rent free in your energy space. They are living in your heart. They are taking up space in your heart. Like with the person that the family member that sexually abused me, I don't get a negative charge. His name gets called up and all that sort of stuff. I'm just like, it is what it is, right? He does not live rent free in my energy space anymore, right? That cord has been broken. That forgiveness has been there, right? Because he hurt me enough and did enough damage as it is. He ain't doing any more. He ain't getting the rest of my life. He stole a chunk of my innocence, and he ain't getting any more of it. That's it. So he does not live rent. Oh shit! The dog's outside. He does not live rent free in me or anything like that. Oh, you ferocious dog! We won't do anything. Anyway, sorry about that. So it's about you. Ask yourself, do you want A, B, and C to live rent free in you? Do you really want them having that grasp? Do you really want that cord around your heart? You know what I mean? Make sure he's not breaking through and attacking the person. Anyway, so that is it, gorgeous goddesses. I mean, I could go on and on. You know, like I love what I do, and this is a huge part of it. And how does this affect your intuition? Just out of curiosity? Okay, I'm glad you asked. Right? So what happens is our intuition will always tell us loving, positive things. It will never put us down. It will never tell us we're horrible. It will never tell us to do bad things. If you are having those things, please seek medical attention as soon as possible. And there is nothing wrong with seeking medical attention. I've done it plenty of times. I've seen counselors, I've seen psychologists and all that kind of stuff, and I highly recommend it. They've been really pivotal in my life and really helped me through some, divorce, losing a child, and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, I mean, even seeing counselors in high school and, dealing with parents and step parents and all that kind of juicy stuff. So, you know what I mean? So, they've been amazing. If you can't find a good one, keep looking. You've just got to find someone that resonates with you, and there is someone out there for you, right? So, um, how does it apply? Yes, sorry. So what happens is so the more that we break free of those cords around our heart, the more then that we have that more loving, beautiful energy flowing through us. Therefore, we are able to hear our intuitive whispers more and more and more, right? So doing this, becoming more accepting and moving through our grief allows us to not get so caught. And we've got the workshop at the end of next month about what intuition is, and I'm going to be talking more about this, how it all applies to intuition, and why shadow work is important, and doing this kind of work, because this is shadow work as well, why it applies to your intuition, because it allows you to those heavy fear, because hearing your intuition and your spiritual and your spirituality and your guides and all that they vibrate at a very high energy frequency, and we vibrate at a low, obviously at a low frequency, because we're more dense, right? Everything's energy, that's proven, right? That's fact. So for them to be able to communicate to us, they've got to really try and slow down their energy, and we need to try and pick up our energy, right? So when we're having heavy dense feelings, well, we're sinking, we're not, it makes it harder to hear, it makes it harder to live more of that aligned life with your intuition and with your guides, and however else, universe, gods, goddess, divine source, whatever words that you works for you, right? So when you lighten that, break those cords and cut those cords from around your heart, then you're vibrating at a higher frequency. Therefore, you are going to be able to hear your intuitive whispers with more ease, with more grace, your guides, and be able to live your life more aligned and more in tune and more trusting with your intuition, right? So doing all this work, right, it will have huge impact and huge effect on your life. Yes, it's messy. Yes, it's, the, what do we call it? The ugly cry, the big snotty cry, and all that sort of stuff. That is beautiful. Science has even proven, right? I'm a Virgo and Sun and Aquarius rising, so I have a lot of logical and a lot of, the woo in there as well, and the rebellious and, weird side. Although they do have a lot of conflict at times, but I like to embrace them both. So science has proven when we cry tears, they have different chemicals and all that sort of stuff. So when you hold on your tears, every time you've held back your tears, you have stuffed something down. So here comes perimenopause. Go, here you go, honey. This needs healing. This needs healing. Except it doesn't just do it nice and gently. It goes, here, quick, have it all. It's like a big eruption. All that kind of stuff. So this is why this work is important. It will actually, even if you're doing this work before perimenopause, absolutely, I wish I had done it too. I wish I had known. So now I'm talking about it and sharing it, so I can help others to hopefully move through it with a bit more ease and grace, and a little less snotty cried and ugly cried, I guess, or to just embrace that ugly cry and cut those cords around our hearts and let those people go. Those people we don't want in our lives anymore, it's time to set them free. All right, gorgeous goddesses. I hope that helps. I hope that is beneficial. I hope that answers a lot of questions. I'm sure it will raise a lot of questions as well. If there's something I haven't explained properly or you'd like to know more about, please let me know. I really do want to know, as long as it's done constructively, not in a shitty way. Always open to constructive feedback. I'm always wanting to learn and grow and evolve and all that, and I will, regardless if I lived for 1,000 years, which I do not want to do. But you know what I mean? Like, I'm always wanting to grow and learn and provide the best service. As an intuitive priestess, that is my deepest love and role, is to be of service, and that's what I'm doing. And I'm always learning and growing and wanting to improve and evolve on that as well. So please let me know if this has helped and how this has helped, and if you've got questions, let me know. I can either, if I can answer them, I will in the comments, or I will do another video like I have here, because this beautiful goddess, I'm sure if you go through you'll find who it is, but you don't need to know who it is. I love that they've asked this question. This is such a deep, juicy one, and I could go on about it. And as I'm working more on my forgiveness and my journey, especially with the rose and all that kind of stuff, I am wanting to create something to help women more with forgiveness. What that looks like at this minute, I don't know. Again, it's, our intuition gives us those breadcrumbs. It's like, okay, yes, but what's the rest of it? I'm trying to get the answers because my impatience. Patience is another thing for perimenopause. Next month, actually, in the temple, we're working as of tomorrow. No, next week it comes out. In the temple, we're working with the sloth. We're working with spirit animal sloth, the art of slowing down and patience. It's gonna be a juicy one. Anyway, gorgeous goddess, I'm gonna keep talking. So if you have any questions or anything, please let me know. And thank you for being here. Let me know if you're on the replay, so I can connect with you. Anyway, lots of love. Thank you. Bye.